Today we're going to be going over the Java solution for Leetcode 791, custom sort string. You are given two strings, order and s. All of the characters of order are unique and were sorted in some custom order previously. Permute the characters of s so that they match the order that order was sorted. More specifically, if a character x occurs before a character y in order, then x should occur before y in the permuted string. Return any permutation of s that satisfies this property. Okay, so let's look at examples to get a better idea of what this question is trying to ask us. So we're going to be given two strings, order and s, and basically order is filled with only unique characters of only unique characters and letters. So that's why you can see here the constraints are order can be from length of 1 or length of 26, since there's only 26 lowercase letters. And then s can be from size 1 to size 200. It doesn't matter how long s is, really. So what we have to do is that we're going to check to see that, okay, if a character appears in order before another character, so for example, C appears before B and A, then we have to mix and match the letters of S and then output them so that C appears before B and A, and then B appears before A, and then finally we would be just left with a D that we could just throw on at the very end. So let's look at example 2 for that. We will have the order is C, B, A, F, G, and the the string of S is A, B, C, D. We see that, okay, does S contain C? Yes, it does. It's right here, so we'll put it in first. Does S contain B? Yes, it does. We'll put it in. Does S contain A? Yes, it does. We'll put it in. Does S contain F? No, so we'll skip it. Does S contain G? No. So at the end, when we have basically put them in order, we are just left with D, which we could just tack on at the very end. So to tackle this problem, basically what we're going to do is that we are going to keep track of like all the frequencies of each letter of each character that S has, since they could have multiple. For example, if in this example 1, S was instead A, B, C, C, D, then we see that C appears first, so we had to put both C's first, and then B, and then both A's, and then D at the very end. So here we're going to keep a track of the frequencies of S and basically how many letters appear in what order. Then we're going to linearly search through order. Basically, we're going to see, okay, right now we're looking at character 1, which is C right here. We're going to look through our frequency map or frequency array of S, and then we can basically easily look up and see that, okay, C does appear in S, and so we're just going to make a string builder that's going to build the string, and then we're going to have all the C's that S has. Then we'll move on to B. We see that, okay, we look through S, it does contain a B, so then we'll put it all into our string builder, all the B's that exist in S, and then we'll move on to A, and then finally, when we're left with our miscellaneous letters that don't appear, we are just going to put them at the end. It doesn't matter which order, as long as they satisfy the condition that order that S follows orders. Okay, so let's go to coding it. So like I said, we're gonna have to first get the frequency of each letter that appears in S. So we're gonna put it into an array. You could also use a hash map if you would like. Equals new int 26. So for the 26 letters, then we're gonna look through or loop through S and then add it as we go along. So array of s.char at I, oh, 1 second, I minus a plus plus, and now after that array would have all the frequencies of each letter that are represented by the index. So now we're gonna make our string builder. So we're gonna initialize our string builder, which is gonna be what we're gonna return at the very end. So string builder result equals new string builder. Oh, builder. There we go. And now we can loop through order to basically add it as we go along. So for int I is equal to 0, I is less than order.length, I plus plus. Okay, so what is our criteria for order? So if array of order.char at I of I minus a, so basically finding the letter, if it is greater than 0. So this is basically saying that whatever letter we're looking at for order, and if that's greater than 0, then that means it appears in S. So what we're going to do is that for simplicity's sake first, I'm going to make another variable letter. And that's basically just so I don't have to write down order.char at I over and over again. So I'm just going to assign it to be order.char at I. Okay. And also, so now we're gonna keep adding it to our string builder. One thing we do have to keep in mind is that S could have multiple of those letters. It could have maybe 5. In example 1, if S was A, and then C, then it could have multiple C's. So we have to figure out how many we have to put in. So we could do that by basically getting the length of whatever array dot order.char at I minus A is. So I'll make a temporary length variable, and length is going to equal array, or actually it's going to equal array order.char at I minus A. So now we can loop, I should use J. So now we can loop through how many frequencies of that letter appears in S, and then keep adding it to our string builder. So we're going to do result.append letter. And also we are going to start to remove that letter as well, because at the end of because at the end of this, after the end of this for loop, we're going to loop through array one more time to see if there are any miscellaneous letters that did not appear in order that we could just put in at the end. So if we don't do this, then it's basically, then we're going to have like a repeat of everything. So, and also the reason why I put it into a length variable right here is because if we're decreasing an array, that's gonna keep changing this for loop. So that's the reason why. So after this, we will basically have all the orders of. So after this, and we come out of this for loop, we're gonna have our string builder result have all the orders of S, and now we're just going to be left with some miscellaneous letters that we could just put on at the very end. So we're just going to loop through that. So I is less than 26, I plus plus. So if array of I is greater than 0, so that means it still exists, we're just going to add it and then add it for however much we need to. So if there's like 5, for example, in this case, if there were like 5 Ds, we would have to add 5 Ds. So this is just looping through and then adding how many we need to. So we're just going to do result.append. And then we're also going to have to cast a char. So I plus A, since array is an integer array, not a char array. And then at the very end, we can just return result.toString. So we're going to turn into a string, since that's the thing we have to return instead of a string builder. Okay, now let's see if it works. All right, great. Now let's submit it. Okay, great. So that was Leetcode 791 custom sort